With the new live-action remake hitting Disney Plus this week, let's talk about the original version of Pinocchio. Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. So, greetings, my fellow YouTubers, and welcome to Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. My name's Doyle, better known to as the Big D, and this time around I bring to you a review of the 1940 animated musical fantasy flick Pinocchio, released by RKO Radio Pictures for Disney Productions. This is Disney's second animated feature after Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Films based on the 1883 Italian children's novel The Adventures of Pinocchio by Carlo Collodi. Now, of course, the plot involves an old Italian wood carver who carves a wooden puppet and is brought to life by a blue fairy who informs him that he can become a real boy if he proves himself to be brave, truthful, and unselfish. So anyway, yes, this is really something here. Now, the average of the title character to become a real boy involves encounters with a host of unsavory characters. The key character of the character known as Jiminy Cricket is based on a 100-year-old wise old talking cricket from the original book who warns Pinocchio of his imprudence when they meet only to be killed and return shortly after before returning as a ghost. But that's not what we actually see in the movie. So, if you're ready, let's get into the story. We start out as Jiminy Cricket addresses the audience as the narrator to tell a story of a wish coming true. The story takes place in a village in Italy sometime in the late 19th century, where he arrived at the shop of a woodworker and toy maker named Geppetto, who lives with his pets Figaro the kitten and Cleo the goldfish. Geppetto creates a marionette whom he names Pinocchio. Falling asleep, Geppetto wishes upon a star for Pinocchio to be a real boy. Late that night, a blue fairy visits the workshop and brings Pinocchio to life. Although he remains a puppet, she informs him that if he proves himself brave, truthful, and unselfish, he will become a real boy. When Jiminy reveals himself, the blue fairy assigns him to be Pinocchio's conscience. Geppetto wakes up and is overjoyed to discover that his puppet is alive and will become a real boy. The next morning, on his way to school, Pinocchio is led astray by con artist fox Honest John and his sidekick Gideon the cat. Honest John convinces him to join Stromboli's puppet show despite Jiminy's objections. And Pinocchio becomes Stromboli's star attraction, but when he tries to go home, Stromboli locks him in a birdcage and leaves to tour the world with him. After Jiminy unsuccessfully tries to free his friend, the blue fairy appears and an anxious Pinocchio lies about what happened, but his nose grows longer and longer. The blue fairy restores his nose and frees him when Pinocchio promises to make amends but warns him that she can no longer help him. Meanwhile, Honest John is hired by a mysterious coachman to find disobedient boys for him to take to Pleasure Island. Though Honest John and Gideon are frightened by the coachman's implication on what happens to the boys and by the possible severe legal consequences if the law finds out. The former reluctantly accepts the job and then finds Pinocchio convincing him to take a vacation on Pleasure Island after his terrible experience with Stromboli. On the way, Pinocchio befriends Lampwick, a delinquent boy. At Pleasure Island, without rules or authority to enforce their activity, Pinocchio, Lampwick, and countless other boys soon engage in smoking cigars and cigarettes, gambling, vandalism, and getting drunk, much to Jiminy's frustration. Jiminy eventually discovers that the island hides a horrible curse, turning boys into actual donkeys. As revealed by the coachman, if you leave a young boy to his own unsupervised devices, and he'll soon make a jackass of himself. The coachman plans to sell them to slave labor and salt mines and circuses. Pinocchio witnesses Lampwick transform into a donkey, and with Jiminy's help, Pinocchio escapes, partially transformed with a donkey's ears and tail, though they have to abandon Lampwick and the other boys. Alright, now for the ending. As always, you know the procedure. You have 5 seconds to stop this video. Go to the description box below and fast forward to the time below. If you've seen the movie already, please continue. Thank you, and here we go. Okay, you've been warned. Returning home, Pinocchio and Jiminy find Geppetto's workshop deserted. They get a letter from the Blue Fairy in the form of a dove, stating that Geppetto had gone out looking for Pinocchio and had sailed to Pleasure Island where he learned Pinocchio was taken to, but was swallowed by Monstro, a terrible and vicious sperm whale, and is now living in the belly of the beast. Determined to rescue his father, Pinocchio jumps into the ocean, accompanied by Jiminy. Pinocchio is soon swallowed by Monstro, where he reunites with Geppetto. Pinocchio devises a scheme to make Monstro sneeze, giving them a chance to escape. The scheme works, but the enraged whale chases them and smashes their raft. Pinocchio selflessly pulls Geppetto to safety in a cove just as Monstro crashes into it, and Pinocchio is seemingly killed. Back home, Geppetto, Jiminy, Figaro, and Cleo mourn the loss of Pinocchio. But however, the Blue Fairy revives Pinocchio and turns him into a real human boy, getting rid of the Pleasure Island curse in the process, much to everyone's joy. As the group celebrates, Jiminy steps outside to thank the fairy and is rewarded with a solid gold badge that certifies him as an official conscience. End of story. So, what did I think of Pinocchio? Well, I'm going to say I really do like it. I mean, it's not really one of my favorite Disney anime features, but it is a classic though. This, of course, I mentioned earlier, is Disney's second anime feature, released 3 years after Snow White. It has a pretty good voice acting cast, including Dick Jones as the title character, Cliff Edwards as Jiminy Cricket, Christian Rubb as Geppetto, Clarence Nash as the vocal effects of doing Figaro's vocal effects, and Walter Catlett as Honest John, and Evelyn Venable as the Blue Fairy. Even Thurl Ravenscroft, of course, long before he sung a certain song from a certain Christmas special, I'm pretty sure you know of. Yes, I'm talking about the Grinch. And of course, he'd also be well known as the voice of Tony the Tiger for Kellogg's Frosted Flakes. Did Monstro's vocal effects. Since the voice acting cast was uncredited. The songs were composed by Lee Harling with lyrics by Ned Washington. Now, of course, the soundtrack was released in February of 1904, just 2 days after the movie premiered at the Center Theater. It would make its official debut of, let's see, well, 2 weeks later. But nevertheless, I think it's a good movie. It's one of those rare films that's gotten a 100% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. But of course, the song When You Wish Upon a Star became a major hit and is still identified with the film to this date, and later as the theme song for the Walt Disney Company itself. Soundtrack won an Academy Award for Best Original Score, so that's real good too. I really think that this is really incredible. Anyway, it got so many good reviews and stuff, and has been re-released numerous times. Too many to mention, though. Sorry, I can't tell you how many. It's been released on physical media, and it's also been and it's also on streaming. Of course, it's on Disney Plus, despite it reveals it has tobacco depiction. But even so, I think Pinocchio is a good movie. Again, it may not be one of my favorite Disney animated features, but it's trying to do its best to get up there. So anyway, I think every bit of Pinocchio was absolutely good. So would I recommend it? I would say yes. This is definitely worth looking into because in the next few years there'll be numerous takes of Pinocchio, including the stop motion animated series The New Adventures of Pinocchio, produced by VO Craft International. That, of course, would be the studio Rankin Base, as well as let's see. I know there was one from the mid '90s that had oh yeah, I think you know what I'm talking about. Uh, just names kind of slipped my mind and what have you. Oh, now I remember Jonathan Taylor Thomas from Home Improvement played that. Of course, that was a different type of film. And of course, there was the underrated animated feature Pinocchio and the Emperor of the Night, which was from Filmation. Yeah, there's all sorts of numerous takes of Pinocchio and what have you, but this one still remains one of the greats. Just more recently, got a live action version with Tom Hanks as Chappelle, and he's reteamed with Robert Zemeckis as the director, who's directed numerous films of Mr. Hanks, including Forrest Gump and Castaway. Oh yeah, and The Polar Express. So anyway, Pinocchio, good movie, great characters, good story, good music, etc. I thought I'd just say before after I recommend it. So anyway, let me know what your thoughts are on Pinocchio in the comment section below. If you like this video, click the like button, subscribe, and be a part of the Big D Nation. And next time, I'll be bringing to you my TV log of the Incredible Hulk TV series. And stay tuned for a spoiler-free review of the live-action Pinocchio this Saturday night. Okay? So thank you for watching, and if you like this, consider checking out my reviews for some of these other animated Disney films. In the upper left-hand corner is my review of the studio's first film, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. The upper right-hand corner is my review of another one of their many greats, Sleeping Beauty. And the bottom left-hand corner is another film that has an Italian feel to it, and that's the recent Disney Pixar film Luca from last year in 2021. And the bottom right corner is the button you can click to subscribe. If you like rankings and reviews on movies, TV, music, video games, etc., then I'm your guy. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm the Big D saying, see ya.